What's up, Warriors fans? It's your main man, Max, here with Warriors Latest. As always, like and subscribe and hit that notification button if you like what you hear, as I post new Warriors videos daily. Now, it's been an interesting weekend when it comes to the Bay Area as well as the Warriors, because we've been getting a lot of news in regards to what the Warriors may do. Now, they're still the only team that hasn't made a single free agent move or even a trade so far this offseason. And from what I heard over the weekend, LeBron doesn't like what the Lakers are doing, at least not involving him with their decisions like he normally got in previous years. And while he may be on vacation, and I get the feeling that, he's putting all the trade chatter behind him and not really worrying about it, it just seems more and more likely that a buyout is inevitable. He's not just going to accept a trade to a different team that he really doesn't like, especially when he has that no trade clause. And I just see the buyout as inevitable. Right now, we gotta come to realize that LeBron is on vacation. He's not gonna do anything until he's back. And when he's back, that's when we're gonna see the active movement regarding him. Whether that be a trade, a buyout, or so forth, he stays with the Lakers. But let's be honest here, staying with the Lakers is not a great opportunity. He's not going to win a title next year with that Laker team. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Lakers are going to be good for years to come. I do like J.J. Redick as their coach. I do like Luka Doncic as their franchise superstar moving forward, but they're not going to be a threat right now. And for LeBron, or for the Lakers and LeBron, he's still an expiring contract. Like, you got at least $50 million coming off the books next summer. Yeah, I definitely could see it's like, you know what, Bron? Why don't you stay home? We don't need you this year. Because he's more of a ball stopper for the Lakers, whereas with the Warriors, he'd be part of a cohesive unit. Now, they're going to likely sign him, and that really solves a lot of their issues moving forward to next season. But until he gets bought out, they still have to go out after some lesser free agents to really fortify the bench and maybe trade some guys to bring in more top tier talent. Now, one of the guys that I've talked about a lot on the free agent market has been Ben Simmons. Now, we all know Simmons has not been the same guy since that Hawks series, and I've talked about it over and over and over and over again. But for the first time all summer, the Warriors have been linked to him. And it's just not me speculating. It's actually people say, they're favorite to sign him. And I'm like, you know what? I told you so. Look, let's be honest here. Simmons is a great player. He still has that talent. He just hasn't been in the right environment. He's been catered to his entire life, which is understandable. I mean, if you ever heard the story of what happened when he was at LSU, you'll completely understand why he's been the way he's been. Now, the story goes at LSU is he was brought in for under-the-table money, goes to class goes to syllabus week, his first week at LSU, doesn't go to class after that. Gets put on academic probation for the second semester, which allows him to play with LSU. And then as soon as LSU is out of it, completely withdraws from the school. Now, I think that's one of the main reasons why, all right, he had his first few years with the Sixers that were great, but as soon as he faced adversity, he completely collapsed because he doesn't have a fallback option. But I believe with the Warriors, he'll have that environment where he can really grow and really take on a bigger role as the years go on. I mean, let's look at it. Right now, he's basically Draymond light, but he's going to eventually turn into Draymond plus. And playing behind Draymond and really learning how to be the top tier defensive player of the year is going to benefit him greatly. Because remember, back in the day, I think he finished second in defensive player of the year at least once. I don't remember which year it was, but he was a top finisher. And he's the guy that you put on like Giannis. He's the guy that you put on LeBron. He's going to be the guy you put on Cooper Flag when he's fully developed. He's the guy you're going to put on even some of the better big men in the league who are sort of tweeners, but they're not full-fledged centers. Maybe like Karl Anthony Towns. Now, that's going to be a big addition for the Warriors. And we hear he doesn't want to sign for the minimum again. So in my mind, okay, if you're going to bring in Al Horford, which seems more and more likely by the day, all right, let's split that taxpayer mid-level between Horford and Ben Simmons. Because you know what? They both bring something to the table. Ben Simmons gets more than the minimum. And you know what? He's going to build a better future with the Warriors. And I honestly believe that because he's just that guy that can really defend. Now, my biggest question is, how is he going to work with Jimmy Butler? They played half a season together in 2019, and that was one of the best Sixers teams I'd ever seen. Probably since 2001 when they went to the finals against the Lakers to eventually lose 4-1. Now, that was a great team. I remember it. It was Jimmy Butler. It was Ben Simmons, and we're talking peak Ben Simmons. It was, who else was it? It was Tobias Harris. It was Joel Embiid. And it wasn't Robert Covington. It was, I want to say J.J. Redick, but I'm not 100%. Yeah, it might have been, it was Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. That was a great team, and they lost Game 7 by one of the luckiest bounces I had ever seen by Kawhi Leonard. Now, that was a great Raptors team. I know we lost in 6 games because Durant went down, and then Clay went down, but that was just, I don't care what anybody says. We lost to a great Raptors team. Yeah, they may have been a little forgettable, and the team completely fell apart after that. But 1 through 5, that was a great team. It was Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka, and then Marc Gasol. And backing them up was Pascal Siakam. So, now I don't care what anybody says. That was a great team. And I love to see them play because Kawhi had his comeback, especially after that bad injury in 2017. I'm not upset about that loss. That was a good loss. It wasn't like the loss to the Cavs, where it's like there are all these question marks. Okay, Draymond gets suspended. Some injuries happened that allowed them to get in. The Warriors got beat in 2019. Yeah, there were those injuries, but had those injuries never happened, I'm not 100% sure the Warriors still would have won because there were so many other things going on that year that just these Raptors were just running on all cylinders, and they were great to watch. But bringing Ben Simmons back is going to at least allow the Warriors to be a top-tier defensive team, whether he comes off the bench and the Warriors make more trades to really satisfy the lineup. Because you got to realize, a lot of players left on the market are good players. They just happen to be a little more seasoned. And the one thing we've seen going along is if you keep your health up, thanks to the new technologies and training methods, you could be a top-tier role player up into your late 30s as long as you keep on top of your health. So it's not going to be surprising when you sign some older guys and they provide viable minutes off the bench. I mean, we see what LeBron's doing through age 40. He still is that guy. We see what Russell Westbrook is doing through age 40. We see what Kawhi Leonard is doing. We see what James Harden did this past year. So it's not impossible for an older player to get better. But I digress as I'm getting off topic. Because Ben Simmons will be that guy. Now that the Warriors are the favorites to sign him, I love the idea. He's going to do great with the team and really blossom into what they need him to be and what he's supposed to be. But it's not only Ben Simmons that's being talked about signing with the Warriors. Another great player that's looking to sign with them is none other than the other Curry. And now, after that golf outing last week where LeBron and Steph were golfing, looks like Seth was with them too. And he's one of the bigger guys that I want the Warriors to sign because he's one of 4 players to only shoot 50% plus from 3 in an entire playoff series. And we all saw what happened when Steph went down against the Wolves. They couldn't hit water falling out of a boat, and they live by the 3, they die by the 3. And they could have lived a lot better had Seth been there instead of, say, Pods or Moses Moody, or even forcing Jonathan Kuminga and Jimmy to be 3-point shooters, which they're not. So I'm happy about them looking into that. And can you imagine I'm talking like Steph and Seth playing the 1 and the 2, and just nailing them from 3-point range. Yes, I get the fact that they are both smaller guards, but just throwing it from deep over and over and making it, that's a lethal combination. Now, the Now, it didn't work before with Steph and Monta Ellis, but I feel like the brotherly chemistry is really going to draw them out and put Steph and Seth together to the point where they're actually going to be a great small ball lineup. Now, while most backcourts have issues with that small lineups, I don't feel that it's going to be an issue with the Warriors, because when you have that brotherly chemistry, it's going to do well. But fact is, bottom line, the Warriors need to make sure that they cook right when making these offseason moves. Now, the more I think about it, the more I realize that, all right, LeBron is going to probably sign with a team if he gets bought out closer to training camp. If I'm him, I'm not going to really waste my time listening to the rumors. I'm going to go into training camp. It's like, all right, what's the deal here? Okay, you want to do that? All right, let's talk quick buyout, get this done quickly, and then move on to a team I want to be a part of. It's going to be just like the Cat situation with the Knicks last year, where they traded him a day before training camp opened up, and then it really allows the team to sort of go into training camp, know what roster you have, and then move forward from there. And that's what I see happening with LeBron. But until that happens, the Warriors got to make at least a consistent effort to find guys to fortify their bench, as well as deal with the Jonathan Kuminga situation. Now, like I've said, I think Kuminga has a lot of opportunities all over the league. I do believe he's going to be a star in this league and an all-star. But the interest just isn't there. So I'm starting to get the feeling that the best course may be that short-term deal to bring him back to the Warriors and then trade him mid-season for some sort of reinforcement and draft capital. But the problem is, say they do that, and say they bring in LeBron. Okay. That's going to be a lot harder to get good return for Jonathan Kuminga mid-season if they bring in LeBron, because he's going to take minutes away from Jimmy Butler and LeBron, and he's just not going to be the perfect fit. And I'm not sure that's going to work out, but it remains to be seen. He's still that guy that's going to be a superstar. But I want him to do well, and that's what matters. So until then, they need to figure it out. They need to sign guys like Ben Simmons and Seth Curry, maybe trade for Nikola Vucevic over Chicago, and at least fortify the roster and do some smart moves until LeBron potentially becomes available. Now, for Warriors Latest, I'm your main man, Max, and as always, go Dubs.